Hey guys, tonight we're diving into something beautifully small, but endlessly powerful. Inside you, right now, millions of tiny cells are alive with movement, rhythm and light. No alarms, no clocks, no rush. Just the quiet beat of life happening, one soft second at a time. Before we begin, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? And what time is it right now on your side of the world? I love seeing how far this peaceful journey reaches, so grab your headphones, dim the lights, take a deep breath, and let's slow everything down. If you're into relaxing, poetic science that helps you sleep, or just wander a little deeper, hit that like button, tap subscribe, and let's make this a ritual. This is a second in the heart of a cell. Let's begin. Beneath the quiet surface of your skin, something ancient ticks softly, endlessly. It does not chime like a bell nor swing like a pendulum. It hums low and deep like the breath of the earth, steady and unseen. These are your circadian rhythms, clocks not made by hands but grown from light and chemistry, from memory and darkness. They do not hang on walls. They live inside your cells, your bones, your very breath. And though you do not hear them, they are always there, whispering the rhythm of your life. Imagine you are sleeping in a cave. No sun, no moon, no ticking clock. Just silence. Yet still your body knows when to rest, when to rise. Even without the light of day, something inside you feels the movement of time. It is not imagination. It is biology. Each of your trillions of cells carries a clock, a tiny timekeeper tuned by the rise and fall of the sun. This is not a metaphor. Inside your brain, in a place called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a cluster of about 20,000 neurons forms your master clock. It sits just above the place where your optic nerves cross, as if listening to the light with every blink. As the morning sun touches your eyes, it sends a signal, light flooding into your brain, not of brightness, but of time. It whispers now to the master clock, which then tells the rest of your body, wake, warm, breathe. Your heart shifts, your liver begins to stir, your body temperature rises like the sun. Later, as dusk returns, the same master clock sends out another message. The day is closing. Melatonin flows like evening mist, gently lulling your body to stillness. It is a soft conversation between light and biology, repeated every day, written in molecules instead of words. But the master clock does not work alone. Each of your organs, your lungs, your skin, your gut, holds its own clock, like a village of bells that echo the town square. When they ring in harmony, your body sings. You sleep deeply, you digest smoothly, your mood feels light and balanced. But when one bell goes out of sync, perhaps from travel or late-night screens or stress, the song becomes scattered. You may feel foggy, hungry at odd hours, or restless in the dark. This is jet lag, shift work fatigue, the gentle ache of your rhythm misaligned. Now imagine the clocks not as metal gears, but as spirals of DNA. Because deep within your cells, the ticking is not mechanical, it is genetic. Certain genes switch on and off like lights in a soft hallway, creating loops of time that last about 24 hours. These are the clock genes, discovered in fruit flies but found in humans, mice, and even plants. They rise and fall in waves, creating the shape of your day, alertness in the morning, drowsiness in the afternoon, dreams in the night. They are your hidden sun and moon. But why do we carry these clocks? Why not live in a timeless state, eating when hungry, sleeping when tired, without regard for the hour? Because the world around us is not timeless. The earth spins, light changes, temperatures shift, animals hunt and rest. Flowers bloom and close. Everything in nature moves with rhythm, and to survive we must move in time with it. These inner clocks are not luxuries, they are compasses. They tell our cells when to grow, our immune systems when to defend, our memories when to form. Even the smallest creatures carry time inside them. Bacteria have rhythms, so do algae. Plants move their leaves towards dawn, even in darkness, because they remember the sun. In the ocean, corals release their eggs all at once, guided by the moon's light and an ancient biological calendar. Monarch butterflies travel thousands of miles using an internal clock that tells them when to rise into the sky. Mice and owls, larks and lions, all are held by invisible rhythms as steady as breath. Inside your own body, this rhythm shapes more than just sleep. It touches hunger, mood, memory, hormones, heart rate. It tells your body when to heal, when to move, when to rest. And if you listen closely, you can feel it. That quiet pull toward waking as dawn arrives. The calm that settles near twilight. The slow drift into dreaming as the night grows still. These are not habits. They are echoes of an ancient beat that has been ticking since life began. Scientists call this the circadian rhythm, circa meaning around, dies meaning day. It is not the only rhythm you hold. There are shorter ones, ultradian rhythms like the rise and fall of your focus every 90 minutes, and longer ones, infradian rhythms like the cycle of the moon and the seasons written in your bones and blood. Your body holds layers of time like waves upon waves, each with its own voice, each with its own pulse. And when we drift from these rhythms, our health softens. Sleep becomes shallow, mood becomes cloudy, the immune system tires. Even the risk of heart disease, diabetes, and depression may rise, not because time is cruel, but because time is meant to be danced with. And when we lose the rhythm, we stumble. To live well is not just to eat well or think well, but to move in time with the song that sings inside us. Now imagine lying beneath the stars. The earth turns slowly beneath you. The moon watches in silence. Somewhere your cells are listening. They are ticking in harmony with the night, humming along with the spin of the planet. You are not separate from time. You are woven into it, like a breath into wind, like a note into song. Every blink, every heartbeat, every breath you take is part of the clock. You are not late. You're not early. You're exactly on time. Let's drift deeper. Time does not only live in us, it lives around us, in the way a sunflower turns slowly to face the dawn, in the silence before the tides rise, in the hush that falls across a forest as twilight approaches. Every living thing listens to time in its own way, and yet there is something shared, a hidden pattern that links us like threads in a vast breathing fabric. Inside the petals of flowers, inside the beating hearts of bees, there is a clock. Not the kind you hold or wear, but one that blooms with light. Plants, for example, seem still to our eyes, but inside them things are moving. Whispers of chemistry, soft surges of growth, tiny reactions that follow the gentle curve of the day. Some open their blossoms only in morning, others close tightly at dusk. Even when placed in total darkness, away from sun or moon, they continue this rhythm, guided not by the sky, but by something inside. A tiny mustard plant known as Arabidopsis thaliana has helped scientists see this more clearly. Its leaves curl, its stems stretch, its genes switch on and off in 24-hour waves, like tides across the shore of time. These internal changes are part of its circadian rhythm, just like ours. If you could listen to it not with ears, but with understanding, you'd hear the quiet rustle of a schedule being kept, a plant gently remembering the time of day. In animals too, this clock is constant. The tiny fruit fly, Drosophila melanogaster, may not seem like much, but within its cells, the same genes that shape our sleep and wake cycles rise and fall like waves. These genes, when studied, showed scientists how internal time flows, how proteins are made and broken, how signals tell the body when to sleep, when to rise, when to be alert. These rhythms aren't learned, they're inherited, carried through generations like lullabies. But the rhythms do not move alone, they are always dancing with light. Light is not only for seeing, it is a message, a silent signal that guides your internal world. When morning light reaches the retina of your eye, it does not just allow you to see, it speaks to your clock. It resets your rhythm each day, gently pulling your internal time into alignment with the Earth's spin. Without it, the rhythm begins to drift, like a song slowly falling out of tune. And so animals follow light in their own ways. Birds begin to sing just before dawn, even before the sun rises, their bodies sensing the growing light through the darkness. Deer move towards shelter as the day ends. Sea creatures swim up from the depths at night and retreat again with the morning. There is a beautiful choreography in this, the rising and falling of life, all tied to light, all woven with time. Now think of something deeper. The moon. Its pull is quieter, its rhythm slower, but still it leaves its fingerprints on life. In the oceans, the tides breathe in and out, shaping the rhythms of fish and coral, crab and seaweed. On some beaches, thousands of tiny grunion fish wriggle ashore in perfect timing with the high tide, laying eggs in moonlit sand. How do they know? What tells them the tide is just right? It is not sight. It is the rhythm they carry within, matched to the moon. Even in our human bodies, the moon leaves traces. Some researchers believe that menstrual cycles echo lunar time. Sleep, too, may shift subtly with the phases of the moon, as if we still, somewhere inside, remember the silver pull of its light. These patterns remind us, time does not tick in only one direction. It turns, it spins, it circles, it sings in loops. And so too does your body. Your temperature gently rises during the day, then falls at night. Hormones like cortisol wake you gently in the morning. Melatonin soothes you at dusk. Your liver, your heart, your brain, all have their own clocks, tuned to the rhythm of your day. They are not machines running on command, but living metronomes, adjusting to light, to meals, to sleep, to seasons. When we eat matters, not just what we eat. Digestion is more efficient in the morning, slower at night. Medicine too may work differently depending on the hour it is taken, because the body is not the same all day long. It flows through time like a river, and to understand it is to understand how we move through light. Now picture a human embryo, tiny and floating in the warm water of the womb. Even here, before birth, rhythms begin, heartbeats, movements, pulses of growth. Circadian genes start to flicker on, preparing the child to live in the world of light and time. After birth, the newborn's rhythm is soft, unformed. It takes weeks, even months, for the baby's clocks to sync to the day-night pattern. Slowly, as light touches the eyes each morning, the rhythm begins to settle. Wake, sleep, cry, dream. Time begins to tick inside, and as we grow, our rhythms change. Teenagers tend to rise late, sleep deep in the morning. This is not laziness, it is biology. Their clocks shift, preferring later hours. As we age, the rhythm shifts again. Older adults often wake earlier, sleep lighter, their internal time moving like a tide that has turned. Our lives are marked not only by years, but by rhythms that evolve and sing in different keys at different stages. This understanding brings a kind of peace. If you feel out of sync, it may not be a fault. It may be a mismatch between the rhythm within you and the rhythm around you, and that can be softened. By stepping outside into morning light, by listening to the quiet of the evening, by letting meals and rest follow gentle patterns, we can rejoin the song of our biology, not by force but by kindness. The idea of time can feel harsh, seconds, deadlines, rushing. But inside the body, time is soft, it flows, it breathes, it adapts. It is not only about clocks, it is about harmony. The more we learn about biology, the clearer it becomes. Health is not only the absence of disease, it is the presence of rhythm, a peaceful pulse, a body moving gently in time with itself and the world. Some scientists now explore chronobiology, the study of biological time. They map how genes rise and fall, how light enters the skin, how schedules affect disease. Hospitals begin to wonder if healing can be improved by honouring time, giving treatments at moments when the body is most ready, guiding recovery through rhythm. Sleep clinics study the drifting clocks of night workers, travellers, children with autism, people with depression. Often the answer is not found in pills, but in restoring balance to the hidden clock. Even the brain carries rhythms. Tiny waves pulse through it, some fast, some slow. When we focus, when we dream, when we rest, each state has its own wave, its own music. Your thoughts too follow a kind of time. Memories form more easily at certain times of day. Creativity rises and falls. The brain is not constant. It flows in loops, like the sea. And so we return to the question, what is time really? Perhaps it is not only what the clock says, perhaps it is what your body feels, perhaps it is not linear but layered, ticking in molecules, pulsing in hormones, rising in mood, falling in sleep. Time is a web and you are woven into it. Every living thing is, the trees, the bees, the stars, and you, all dancing to rhythms older than words. Let this thought be soft in your mind. Time is not against you, it is within you, and you have always known its song. Now imagine, the morning is still. You haven't opened your eyes yet, but already your body knows. It feels the shift in air, the hush that lives between night and dawn. Deep in your brain the master clock hums, gently sensing the rise of light. It's not just sunrise, it's awakening. Your temperature begins to rise like the sun outside. The rhythm of cortisol begins to pulse, clearing the fog from your mind before your first thought arrives. A quiet orchestra begins to play, and you are the instrument. This is how time becomes you, not something measured by hands on a dial, but by cells, by chemistry, by gentle sequences that guide your every breath. Even now, without noticing, your heart beats slightly faster than it did in sleep. Your digestion prepares without a word. The eyes blink open and your rhythm steps into the day. But it's not just this moment. Time lives in layers. It lives in your heartbeat, about 60 to 100 times a minute. It lives in your breathing, perhaps 12 to 20 times in those same 60 seconds. It lives in the slow regeneration of your skin, the steady turning over of cells, the way your bones replace themselves every few years without you ever knowing. These aren't metaphors. These are clocks of living matter. Soft gears made of biology. You are built from time. Think of your memories. Some rise to the surface quickly like light-breaking water. Others take longer, drifting from somewhere far below. Why? Because time lives in memory too. There are rhythms in how you remember, how you forget, how you dream. Your hippocampus, the part of the brain that stores memory, listens to time in pulses. Studies show that our ability to remember is tied to circadian cycles. People recall better in the morning or just after sleep. It's not just chance, it's timing. And when we dream, the rhythms change again. Sleep itself follows a flow, about 90-minute cycles where you drift from light sleep into deep and back again into dreaming. REM sleep, the vivid dream space, comes in waves. Not all at once, but gradually growing longer with each cycle until the early morning becomes a sea of dreams. If you wake during REM, you may remember the dream like a whisper, still warm in your hands. If you wake at another time, it fades. This rhythm matters more than we think. It isn't just about rest, it's about repair. During deep sleep, your body heals. Your brain clears out waste through a system called the glymphatic system, flushing away what no longer serves. Immune cells communicate. Repair instructions are written, memories are sifted, and this happens best when the rhythm is honoured, when sleep comes at the same time, when light and dark are respected. A broken rhythm can cloud memory, dull focus, even weaken immunity. Time is a medicine, if taken gently. But what happens when our clocks drift? Modern life often pulls us out of rhythm. Artificial light extends our days far beyond what the body expects. Screens glow into the night, telling our brains it's still daytime. Meals come at irregular hours. We travel across time zones in hours, something evolution never prepared us for. The result? The inner clocks grow confused. You may feel tired but not sleepy. You may wake early but unrested. You may feel your mood shift like a sky with no sun. This is called circadian misalignment, and while it sounds gentle, its effects can ripple through every part of life. Metabolism can slow, insulin may not respond as it should, inflammation can rise, even mental health is touched. Depression and anxiety are more common when rhythms are disturbed. But there is hope, always hope, because just as rhythms can drift, they can also return. And the way back is simple: light, regularity, stillness. Morning sunlight is a gift to your master clock. When you step outside, even for a few minutes, the light tells your brain, here is the day. It sets the tone for every clock in your body. It helps you feel sleepy at night. It sharpens your focus by noon. Eating at regular times, sleeping at regular hours, dimming the lights as night approaches, these small acts realign you with the earth. They are not chores, they are lullabies for your biology. Even silence holds rhythm. In quiet moments, your heart slows, your breath softens. The parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest mode, takes over, and time seems to stretch. Meditation, deep breathing, simple stillness. These do not stop time, but they change how we feel it. In rest, seconds grow wider. In peace, the rhythm feels kind again. Now think beyond the body. There is cosmic time too. The Earth rotates once every 4 hours. It orbits the Sun every 3-5 days. The Moon waxes and wanes over 29.5 days. Even the solar system moves through the galaxy. And somehow your body, this small home of skin and light, is connected to it all. Our cells respond to light and dark. Our hormones shift with the season. Even our mood changes with the length of the day. There is a grand rhythm, and you are part of it, not separate, but singing within. Time in this way is not just passing, it is flowing through you. And yet, for all its rhythm, time is flexible. Not everyone has the same inner clock. Some people are morning larks, rising early, sleeping early. Others are night owls, alert when the world sleeps. Chronotypes, scientists call them. These differences are not flaws, they are variations in rhythm. Understanding your own natural time can help you feel more whole. When you work with your rhythm instead of against it, life feels softer, smoother, kinder. There are also people whose clocks run long or short. In one condition called non-24-hour sleep-wake disorder, the internal rhythm is longer than 24 hours. Each day, sleep and wake shift slightly forward. This often affects blind individuals whose eyes can't send light signals to the master clock. Their bodies, still rhythmic, follow a cycle disconnected from the world's day. It is a reminder. Our clocks are deeply tied to light, but not dependent on sight. The rhythm lives in every cell. Even in illness, rhythms show themselves. Some cancers grow more quickly at certain times. Blood pressure rises with morning. Heart attacks are more common before noon. Time touches everything, and as medicine grows wiser, it begins to notice. Chronotherapy, giving treatments at certain hours, is beginning to emerge. It's a science guided not only by what we give, but when we give it. But beyond medicine, beyond biology, time still holds wonder. Because while the body follows rhythms, the heart feels time differently. Some moments stretch, when we're in love, when we're in pain, when we're still. Others vanish, when we rush, when we worry. Time can feel long or short, slow or fast, even when the seconds are the same. This is the mystery of time, not just as science, but as experience. And here we return to the poetry, because maybe, at the soft edge of science, there is a place where time becomes story, where the heartbeat of a sleeping child feels like forever, where a moment of quiet can hold a lifetime, where a memory blooms like spring, years after it first grew. Maybe your inner clock is not just keeping you alive, maybe it is helping you live. So tonight, as the stars return and the earth spins gently onward, you might close your eyes and feel it, the rhythm beneath your skin. It is not loud, it is not strict, it is soft, it is steady, it is a lullaby that has been singing since the beginning. You are part of this song, you always have been, you always will be. Look up and you are looking back. The stars that shimmer in the night sky are not what they seem. Their glow is not from now, it's a whisper from the past. Each beam of starlight that touches your eyes tonight has been travelling across the dark for years, decades, sometimes millennia. Some stars you see may no longer even exist. Their light, like a message in a bottle, continues its journey long after the source has faded. And so the sky is a memory, a glowing, twinkling record of time stretched across space. When you gaze upward, your eyes do not see the universe as it is, they see it as it was. The nearest star to Earth, besides the Sun, is Proxima Centauri. Its light takes a little over 4 years to reach us. This means that when you see its soft glimmer, you are seeing light that left the star over 4 years ago. It is not a live picture. It is a delayed echo, arriving on time for your eyes, but born in the past. Some stars are even farther, hundreds, thousands, millions of light years away. Their light began its journey before you were born, before your parents were born, before even the first humans walked the earth. It travelled in silence, unbending, unhurrying, crossing the emptiness with purpose, until at last it touches your retina, softly flickering its ancient truth. This is the strange gift of light. It carries time. Light does not simply show you what is near, it carries a record of what was. It moves at a speed of nearly 300,000 kilometers per second. To us, that seems unimaginably fast. But the universe is wide, and even the fastest traveller must be patient. So light becomes a messenger, a weaver of memory, writing the history of stars across the darkness. The further we look into space, the deeper we look into time. Telescopes become time machines. A simple glance through a powerful lens can reveal galaxies whose light left them billions of years ago. Imagine we can see light that began its journey before Earth had oceans, before it had life, before it had names or stories. When you look at such galaxies, you are peering into a cosmic nursery, watching the early universe still forming, still unfolding. One such image, taken by the James Webb Space Telescope, shows galaxies from over 13 billion years ago. Their light was born when the universe was young, just a few 100 million years old. That light has been travelling undisturbed all this time. It passed stars, dust, gas, planets, and now it enters us as a telescope here on a small blue planet. It becomes data, becomes image, becomes wonder, and yet we must remember this light is not the galaxy itself. The galaxy may no longer exist. It may have changed shape, merged with another, or scattered into dust. We do not see it as is. We see only the memory it sent. The stars in this way are like books left open in the sky. Their pages are written in photons, and those photons carry the history of the cosmos. Some pages are bright, some are faint, but all of them are old. Your own sun is a star, though it feels more immediate, more warm. Its light takes just over 8 minutes to reach Earth, so even now as you feel its warmth on your skin, you are basking in light from 8 minutes ago. If the sun were to suddenly vanish, a thought that is only imaginary, its disappearance would not be seen or felt until those final photons finish their journey. Even here, time travels with light. There is something deeply comforting in this, that light does not give up, that it continues on no matter how far it must go, that a moment once created can stretch across eternity. Stars do not only shine with beauty, they burn with stories. Inside their hearts, stars are factories of time. They fuse hydrogen into helium, helium into carbon, carbon into heavier elements. These reactions take millions, sometimes billions of years. Slowly stars forge the ingredients of life, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, iron, and when they grow old, some stars die gently, shedding their outer layers into space. Others die with violence, exploding as supernovae, scattering their rich insides into the galaxy. These scattered elements become part of gas clouds, which become part of new stars, which form planets, which grow life. Your body, your bones, your blood, these all carry atoms that were once inside stars. You're made of stardust, not as poetry but as fact. The iron in your blood was born in a dying star, the calcium in your teeth, the oxygen in your breath, all shaped by stellar time. And so you too are a memory of stars. Your atoms have been part of other things, other forms, other times. Perhaps part of you once drifted in space, part of a cloud circling a newborn sun. Perhaps part of you was once inside a tree, or a river, or a mammoth. Atoms do not vanish, they move, they combine and separate, but they remember, not with thought, but with presence. You carry their journey. There is a kind of silence in space, but it's not empty. It is filled with old light, old time travelling still. Cosmic rays, tiny particles born in faraway explosions, streak across the galaxy. Neutrinos, nearly invisible, almost massless, dream through your body by the trillions each second, many born from the heart of stars. They do not touch you. They do not harm. They pass like ghosts. But their presence reminds us the universe is never still. Everything is in motion. Everything is in time. And what of the stars we cannot see? There are some stars whose light never reaches us. Their path may be blocked, or they may be so far that their light is still on the way. Some light will take billions more years to reach Earth. We will not see it. But someone else might, in another time on another world. The light will arrive, because time and light are patient. Black holes too hold stories of time. Near their edges, what scientists call the event horizon, time begins to slow. If you were to hover near one, an impossible feat, you would see the universe rush forward. To you, time would stretch. To others, you would have them frozen. Time bends under gravity. Einstein's theory of general relativity tells us this. Where gravity is strong, time flows more slowly. And near a black hole, gravity is strongest. This is not fantasy. It is science. Astronauts aboard satellites experience time slightly differently than those on Earth. Not by much, but enough that GPS satellites must adjust for it, or your maps would be wrong. Time is not absolute. It changes, depending on speed and space. It breathes. So what is time really? It is the thread that connects all moments. The light from a star, the beat of your heart, the age of a galaxy, the growth of a flower. All these things are part of one flowing rhythm, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, but always forward, always unfolding. When you look at the stars, you're not looking at distance, you're looking at history. You're not outside of this history, you're inside it. You're part of the light, part of the time, part of the memory of everything. And in that silence, in that shimmer, you can almost hear it. A story that has travelled across the dark to reach the eyes that will understand it. Let's drift deeper. Imagine floating far above the earth, higher than any bird or plane, above the clouds, past the thin skin of the atmosphere. Here, silence holds you. Not the silence of emptiness, but the soft quiet of vastness. You are suspended in the gentle arms of space, and around you the stars begin to speak. They don't use sound, they don't shout. They speak with light, with movement, with presence. They tell you, the universe is not still. Everything turns, everything dances, everything remembers. Above your head, stars swirl in slow spirals, whole galaxies spin like pinwheels, their arms stretching outward like slow waves. Each star is a point of time, and together they make a map of memory. Our own galaxy, the Milky Way, turns once every 230 million years. That means the last time we were in this same spot, dinosaurs were walking beneath ancient trees, and the world was shaped by a very different sky. You are riding this spiral even now, though you don't feel it. Earth circles the sun circles the centre of the Milky Way, and the Milky Way itself drifts through the cosmos, pulled gently by gravity, by space, by time. Nothing is fixed. The universe is a slow spiralling dance, and we are part of it, each movement carrying the past into the present. But this spiral is not just physical, it is also a spiral of light, a spiral of history. Galaxies shine with stars, both young and old. At their edges, new stars are born from clouds of gas and dust. In their hearts, older stars live and die, creating waves of energy and memory. Some stars burn hot and bright, living short lives. Others burn cooler and slower, lasting for billions of years. And when these stars die, they leave behind stories, not just in light, but in the elements they create. Iron, for example, the metal in your blood, comes from stars, not just from their lives, but from their deaths. In a supernova, a massive star explodes, sending its elements across space. These elements drift, mix, and eventually form new stars, new planets, new life. So when we say you are made of stardust, it is not a dream, it is a path of time. Your atoms were part of ancient stars which exploded before the Earth was born. Now think of the universe as a clock, but not with ticking hands. It turns in spirals, stretches in waves. It ages slowly. Galaxies collide, but over millions of years. Stars are born, but it takes thousands of centuries. Light moves quickly, but even it must wait to be seen. The tempo of the cosmos is slow, almost like a lullaby. And in that slowness, memory gathers. There are stars called red giants that are nearing the ends of their lives. They swell, cool, and glow a soft, rusty hue. Their cores no longer burn steadily, and they begin to shed their outer layers, creating glowing clouds around them. These clouds are called planetary nebulae, not because they are planets, but because they once looked like them through early telescopes. They are not endings, but transformations. The star does not disappear. It changes, leaves behind a white dwarf, small, dense, and still glowing. A star's quiet echo. And then there are pulsars, dead stars that spin with astonishing speed. As they turn, they flash beams of light, like a lighthouse in the void. Some pulsars spin dozens or hundreds of times per second. We measure them with atomic precision, like cosmic heartbeats. Scientists use pulsars to track time, to map gravitational waves, even to navigate spacecraft. These dead stars have become timekeepers, their rhythms steady and true. But not all stars end quietly. The most massive stars collapse into black holes, points in space where gravity is so strong, not even light can escape. Time, near a black hole, begins to bend. If you were to hover close to one, safely, impossibly, you would experience time more slowly than someone far away. A minute for you might be an hour, a year, or more for others. This is not fiction. It is the nature of space-time written in the language of Einstein's relativity. Black holes do not glow, but they shape light around them. They bend the path of photons, creating rings of brightness called Einstein rings. These rings are real, captured in images by scientists on Earth. One such picture, of a black hole in the galaxy M87, shows a glowing circle, a shadow surrounded by light. That light travelled for 55 million years before it reached our telescopes. It left before humans existed, before cities, before names. And yet it arrived. This is the nature of cosmic memory. Light is patient. It waits. It carries the past forward, gently, faithfully. Every twinkle you see in the sky is a story of waiting, a story of distance, a story of time unfolding. Even our own sun is moving. It drifts through a local bubble in the Milky Way, a region of space created by ancient supernovae. The solar system carries with it a cloud of dust, comets, and icy fragments left over from its birth. These remnants are cold, quiet, and old. They remember the time before Earth had oceans, before the moon found its orbit, before life began. Some comets, when they pass near the sun, leave trails of ice and dust. These trails return again and again as the comet orbits in long loops. Each visit brings it closer, then farther again, like a cosmic visitor that keeps its own schedule. Halley's Comet, for example, appears every 76 years. When it returns, we see the same object that inspired ancient skywatchers thousands of years ago. Time here is circular. It loops like a spiral of light. Even on Earth, this spiral continues. Ice cores taken from Antarctica reveal layers of snow built up year after year, like pages in a frozen diary. Trapped inside are bubbles of air from ancient times. Scientists study these to learn what the atmosphere was like thousands of years ago. Time preserved in ice. Similarly, tree rings hold a record of droughts and seasons. Sediments on the ocean floor carry traces of climate, of volcanic eruptions, of life that once swam in prehistoric seas. We live surrounded by time capsules, not hidden, but waiting. And so, when we speak of time and stars, we are not speaking only of distance or motion. We are speaking of memory, of how the past lives quietly in the present, of how each moment contains echoes of what came before. You are part of this. You are not just observing time, you are keeping it. Every breath you take is measured in seconds. Every night of sleep, every year of growing older, every thought, every heartbeat, they are your rhythms, your light. And someday even your actions will ripple outward, through people, through kindness, through choices, through change. You are a star, remembering the past in the way only a human can, through feeling, through wonder, through silence. And in that silence the cosmos continues. Now let the quiet unfold around you. Close your eyes and picture the night sky stretching above an ancient desert. No lights, no cities, no noise, only stars. For thousands of years, people have stood under this sky, watching the same constellations you see now. They watched as Orion hunted across the winter sky, as the Pleiades shimmered like a cluster of frost, as the moon pulled silver ribbons across the dark. They didn't know the speed of light. They didn't know of galaxies or black holes, but they knew time. They felt it in the slow shift of stars across the seasons. They noticed that Sirius rose in summer and brought the heat with it. They marked the year by the tilt of the sun, by the turning of shadows, by the quiet rhythm of the sky. Time to them was written in the stars, and so they told stories. They imagined gods and hunters, serpents and sisters, great bears and winged horses. The stars became memory, passed from mouth to mouth, from fire to fire. Each culture gave the sky its own shape, but all were doing the same thing, remembering, holding onto the past, wrapping it in wonder so it would not be lost. Even now, your ancestors' eyes live inside yours. Their stories breathe in the way you feel awe, in the way you look up and feel small but whole. When you watch a meteor streak across the sky, when you see a full moon rise slowly over the ocean, you're not simply observing, you are remembering. Even if you've never seen that moment before, something deep inside you has. You are a remembering creature. Your brain, your body, your soul, each one holds time like a river holds stones. Memory isn't just stored in the mind, it flows through movement, through muscle, through blood. You remember how to walk, how to smile, how to cry, how to comfort. These rhythms live within you like starlight lives in the sky. And memory, like starlight, changes with distance. The closer the moment, the brighter it feels. A recent joy can shine sharply, like Venus in the early evening. But older memories grow softer, gentler, like a faraway galaxy seen through fog. They're still there, just dimmed by time, and some memories, like some stars, are gone but still glowing. You may not remember the person's face, but you recall the warmth. You may forget the words spoken, but still carry the feeling. This is how the universe moves, not in straight lines, but in soft spirals of presence. Even when things change, even when stars die, something remains. And that brings us to a quiet mystery, the cosmic background light. More than 13 billion years ago, the universe was dark and dense and hot. There were no stars, no planets, only a sea of energy and particles. Then slowly it cooled. Light was finally able to travel freely. That first light, known as the cosmic microwave background, still travels through space today. It surrounds us, invisible to our eyes, but detectable by sensitive instruments. It is the oldest light in existence, a baby picture of the universe. And that light too remembers. It remembers the birth of space, the earliest moments of time, the first breath of everything. Scientists study its faint ripples to learn how the universe grew, how galaxies formed, how gravity sculpted the sky. It's not loud, it's not bright, but it holds the story of everything. And what about the future? Will the stars keep shining? Will the light continue to travel? Will someone else, someday, look up and remember us? Cosmologists believe that one day, far in the future, the stars will fade. Fuel will run out, galaxies will grow cold, the universe will stretch and cool until only faint whispers of energy remain. It's called heat death, a slow dimming, not a sudden stop. But even then, time will continue. Even in darkness, memory may remain, in the form of gravity, of motion, of echoes. But we are not there, we are here. And here the stars still shine, the galaxies still spin. The earth still turns beneath your feet, carrying you gently from one moment to the next. Here time still glows, and you carry it with you. Your life is not separate from the cosmos. You're not watching from the outside. You're a thread in its great weave. Your thoughts, your breath, your memories, they are woven from the same time that shapes the stars. You're not just stardust, you're star time. Think of the child who sees the moon for the first time and feels wonder without knowing why. Think of the elder who remembers a starry night from 60 winters ago. Think of the scientist studying galaxies, seeing light that left before life began. All of them are connected by time, not the kind on a clock, but the kind that lives in the quiet, in the slow breath, in the long gaze toward the stars. There is a kind of love in this remembering, a reverence, because we know deep down that the moments we hold dear are like starlight, born in the past, still arriving, still shaping us. We cannot hold on to time, but we can honour it. By noticing the golden softness of a sunrise, by feeling the warmth of a hand in ours, by looking up at night and letting ourselves be small. In that smallness we are infinite, and so the stars remember, and we remember them. Their light continues, our memories stretch, we are reflections of each other, held by gravity, touched by light, moved by time. You, gentle traveller, are part of this story. You always have been. You always will be. Time is not made of seconds. It is not made of numbers or ticking hands or glowing digits on a screen. Time is a river, a soft, endless current that flows through everything, from the smallest grain of sand to the brightest star. It has no beginning you can hold and no end you can see. It does not wait. It does not hurry. It flows, gently, always forward. Imagine standing by a real river, early in the morning. Mist curls above the surface. Leaves drift past like tiny boats. The water glides over rocks, around bends, past roots and reeds. You cannot hold it, you cannot stop it, but you can feel it. You can see it touch everything it passes. Time is like that. It flows through your body, soft as breath, through the rise and fall of your chest, through your blood, through your sleep, through your thoughts and memories. Even when you are still, time moves within you. You may feel quiet, but your cells are working. Your heart is beating. Your body is changing, moment by moment, shaped by this invisible river. From the moment you are born, the current of time begins to move through you. A baby's first breath, the blink of a curious eye, the grasp of a small hand. All are moments shaped by time. They happen once and then they move on. But the echo stays, in the folds of the brain, in the rhythm of the body, in the hush that follows each heartbeat. Time moves gently through nature too. In spring, buds swell on the trees, not all at once, but slowly, petal by petal, leaf by leaf. The rhythm is patient. A daffodil doesn't rush. A butterfly doesn't leap into flight. Even wind has rhythm, gusts, lulls, breaths of motion. Each movement is shaped by the flow of time, like music played by the world. The earth spins once every 24 hours. That's why we have days and nights. It doesn't stop or start. It simply turns, around and around. While it spins, it also moves through space, circling the sun. That journey takes about 3.5 days and gives us seasons, the warmth of summer, the quiet of winter. The light changes, shadows shift, flowers bloom, then sleep again. All because of time flowing gently across the skin of the world. Even mountains change with time. They may seem still, solid, unmoving, but they rise, crumble, shift. Wind smooths their faces. Rain carves soft lines. Rocks break into pebbles. Pebbles become sand. And that sand, carried by water, may settle somewhere new, perhaps at the bottom of a lake or deep in the ocean. And there, over thousands of years, it may turn back to stone. The mountain has moved, not by walking, but by waiting. This is the quiet power of time. It doesn't need to rush. It transforms by simply flowing, by being. A seed becomes a tree, a cloud becomes rain, a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. And one day the butterfly rests, its wings still, and returns to the earth. Nothing escapes this river. Nothing is forgotten. It all becomes part of the flow. In your own body, time leaves soft fingerprints. You grow taller, then stronger. You learn to speak, to run, to sing. Your bones stretch. Your voice deepens. Your thoughts deepen too. As a child, time feels slow, like a wide river winding gently through open land. The days are long. Summers seem endless. But as you grow, the river picks up speed. Days begin to blend. Seasons turn faster. Moments flicker by like leaves on the surface. Why does time feel different at different ages? Scientists believe it may be because of how we form memories. When something is new, we notice more. A first snowfall, a first school day, a first goodbye. These memories are rich, full of detail. The brain records them with care. But as we grow older, more days become familiar. The brain stores them differently, more lightly. And so looking back, it feels like time moved faster. But the river was the same. Only our eyes had changed. Even in the deep ocean, time flows. Down in the dark, where sunlight never reaches, strange creatures move slowly. Some glow with soft lights. Others drift like leaves in slow water. There, changes happen over centuries. Coral reefs grow branch by branch, shaping underwater cities for fish and life. Whales pass through, their songs echoing like memories. Even here, far from the sky, time moves like a gentle tide. The moon, our closest companion in the sky, also feels the river of time. Long ago, it was closer to Earth, but slowly, over millions of years, it's been drifting away, just a few centimeters each year. It's still moving now. We can measure it with lasers and mirrors. The moon dances to the rhythm of gravity, shaped by time's invisible hands. And one day, far in the future, it will have moved so far that solar eclipses, where the moon perfectly covers the sun, will no longer happen. Even the sky's most perfect moments are part of time's passing. And what of light itself? Light is born from time. When you turn on a lamp, photons, particles of light, begin their journey. They move fast, almost unimaginably so, but they still take time to travel. Light from the sun takes about 8 minutes to reach Earth. Light from the stars may take years or centuries or longer. What you see is never what is now, it is always what was. Time flows not just in space but in energy. Atoms move, electrons spin, particles collide. All in time. Without it, the universe would be frozen, still. Nothing could change, nothing could grow, nothing could begin. And yet time does not have a shape. You cannot hold it in your hands. You cannot smell it, taste it, hear it. You can only feel its passing, in a sigh, in a song, in the way a child becomes an elder. Some scientists wonder, is time even real? In the world of quantum physics, time becomes strange. Particles seem to exist in many states at once. Some theories suggest that time is an illusion, a trick of memory and change. Others say time may run backward in some corners of the universe. But here, in this quiet moment, we do not need to understand all of time's secrets. We only need to feel it. And feeling time is like standing in a river. You cannot stop the water, but you can float, you can breathe, you can let it carry you. You can notice the sunlight dancing on the surface. You can feel the coolness around your toes. You can listen to the soft hush of its movement. And in that stillness you may understand something very old. That time is not your enemy. It is not something to race against. It is not something to waste or win. It is a companion, a quiet friend. It walks beside you gently, steadily, always there. You do not need to run, you only need to listen. Let's drift further now, deeper into the current. The river of time does not only move things forward, it shapes how they grow, how they fade, how they return. Beneath its surface a quiet pattern unfolds, change and continuity, motion and stillness, arrival and departure, all bound in one soft flow. And though we often think of time as something that takes, it also gives. It gives life its shape, its meaning, its story. Every living thing on earth is carried by this same current. From the tallest redwood to the tiniest insect, from coral reefs beneath the ocean to the birds that ride the wind, each one experiences time in its own way. Some live for a moment, others live for centuries, but all of them belong to the rhythm. A hummingbird lives fast. Its heart may beat over 1,000 times each minute. Its wings flutter so quickly they blur. A single year is a lifetime. Everything moves in a quickened rhythm, flight, feeding, sleeping. Time for the hummingbird is a rapid stream, gushing and bright. Every second matters. Now think of a bristlecone pine high in the cold mountain air. It grows slowly, so slowly that its bark seems frozen, unchanged, but inside, year by year, layer by layer, it builds its story. Some of these trees are over 5,000 years old. They were young when the pyramids were built. They were already ancient when the first ink touched parchment. For them, time is a glacier, a low murmur. Their rhythm is long, patient, wide. This difference between the hummingbird and the pine, between the fleeting and the enduring, is not about more or less. It is about the shape of time, how it is lived, how it is felt. Even humans live in many layers of time. There is the fast time of the heartbeat, the rise and fall steady and sure. There is the slower time of memory, where moments stretch and fold and replay, and there is deep time, the time of ancestors, of ancient migrations, of distant dreams passed down through generations. Your DNA carries pieces of this deep time, the structure of your bones, the way your body heals, the way your brain dreams, all shaped by the time your ancestors spent surviving, adapting, hoping. Even if you don't remember them, their time lives in you, shaped your rhythm like the river shapes its banks. Think of language. Every word you speak is part of time's river. Languages change over centuries. Soft shifts in sound, meaning, rhythm. Words are born, grow, fade, vanish. Some return again, like eddies in the stream. And through them, ideas travel. Feelings, stories, knowledge, each carried across the current from one person to the next. A lullaby sung by a mother to her child may have echoes of songs from generations past. The melody may be new, but the rhythm is old. The tenderness is old. It is the rhythm of comfort, passed down through time, as soft and warm as a blanket in winter. And so with stories. Every story we tell is a meeting place between past and present. Myths that once explained the stars still live in books, in poems, in bedtime whispers. We say the stars are burning balls of gas, yes, but we also say they are ancestors, dreams, guides. Science tells us what they are. Stories tell us what they mean. Both are true. Both flow through the river of time, and within that flow we remember. Memory is not a recording. It is a current, fluid, shifting. When you recall a moment from childhood, your brain does not replay a perfect film. It reconstructs. It paints with the soft colours. It fills in the missing spaces. Each time you remember, the memory reshapes itself ever so slightly, like water smoothing a stone. This does not mean the memory is false. It means it is alive. Living things change, living memories deepen. They absorb new meaning. A goodbye felt one way when you were young. It may feel different now, but it is still the same goodbye, shaped by the river's flow. Even your habits are memories shaped in time. The way you tie your shoes, the way you brush your teeth, the songs you hum without noticing. These actions live in the part of the brain where repetition becomes rhythm, where thought becomes motion. Over time, what once took effort becomes ease. This is how learning becomes being. In the brain, neurons fire in patterns. Some fire faster, like sparks. Others move slower, forming lasting paths. These patterns are not random. They follow your rhythm, your sleep, your emotions, your cycles of attention. When your rhythm is balanced, learning feels smooth. When time feels scattered, when days blur or nights stretch too long, learning may feel heavy, confused. The river needs space to flow, and emotion too is shaped by time. Grief is a long, slow current. It does not vanish, it changes shape. At first it rushes, a flood of feeling. Later it softens. It moves beneath the surface, quiet, deep, always there. Joy too has a rhythm. It often comes in bursts, like sunlight through clouds, like laughter that surprises you. And just as quickly, it may drift away, leaving only a warmth behind. Emotion rides time. It teaches us how to feel the moment and how to let it go. Even the seasons inside you shift. There are days when your body wants movement, when you rise with energy, ready to do, to make, to act. There are other days when slowness calls, when rest is needed, when silence feels full. These are not failures, they are the rhythms of your inner weather. Like the earth, you have your winters, your springs. Time is not always forward. Sometimes it circles, sometimes it simply waits, and still you are changing. Your skin renews. Your bones reshape. Your thoughts deepen. Even if you feel still, time is carrying you. Look at your hands. The lines you see were not there at birth. They are maps of moments, each scar, each wrinkle, each freckle, a mark made by the river's touch. You are not who you were yesterday. You're becoming. This becoming is not a race. It has no finish line. It is not about getting somewhere. It is about flowing, letting yourself change, letting the river move through you gently without resistance. Some try to control time, to measure it tightly, to fill every second, to rush from one thing to the next. But time cannot be tamed. It flows whether we watch it or not. It asks not for speed, but for presence. Because presence is where time becomes meaningful. When you sit with someone you love and no one speaks, but everything feels full, that is presence. When you lie on the grass and feel the sun on your face, not thinking, just being, that is presence. And in presence, time does not rush. It slows. It opens. It welcomes you in. This is the gift of the river. You do not have to swim fast. You do not have to know where it ends. You only have to float, to feel, to trust the current. Because time is not a trap. It is not a thief. It is a guide. It carries you from breath to breath, from moment to moment, from who you were to who you are becoming. Now let yourself float. You're in the river. You always have been. It's not rushing, not wild. It flows like a lullaby, calm and sure. Time cradles you, not as something to fear, but something to trust. Let go for a moment. Let the current carry you. This is not a river of endings. It is a river of becoming. To surrender to time is not to give up. It is to accept the beauty of change. The child you once were still lives inside you. Not as a photograph frozen in memory, but as a rhythm that never left. You still carry the curiosity, the wonder, the softness. You've grown around it, like a tree growing around sunlight, bending with the wind. The person you are now is not separate from who you were. They are layered, like rings in a tree, each one holding the seasons that came before. Time does not erase you. It deepens you. There's a comfort in knowing you don't have to stay the same. You're allowed to shift, to pause, to return to things you thought were lost. You can fall in love with something new, years after you stop searching. You can begin again even when it seems too late. Because time, like the river, never says no. It only flows. And flowing means healing too. Grief may sit beside you heavy and quiet. But over time it changes. Not by leaving, but by softening. What once felt sharp becomes smooth. What once felt impossible becomes bearable. This is not forgetting. It is carrying differently, gently. Like a stone in your pocket that once weighed you down but now simply reminds you of love, of life, of how much you felt. In the same way, joy returns, often when you least expect it. You may laugh while doing nothing special. You may find beauty in a shadow or a breeze or a moment of silence. Joy does not demand explanation. It flows like sunlight on the river's surface, glinting, flickering, appearing just when you needed it. Time makes space for joy, even after sorrow, especially after sorrow. Even your breath is part of this river. Inhale, and the present arrives. Exhale, and the past releases. Each breath is a beginning and an ending. Each one marks the moment you are in. You do not need to think ahead. You do not need to return behind. All that matters is this breath, this now. And when you truly live inside the now, time stretches. It slows down, not because the river stops, but because you are no longer resisting. You are no longer pushing against the flow, trying to reach a shore that doesn't exist. You are simply floating, present, peaceful. This is not easy in the world we live in. There is pressure to hurry, to achieve, to always be doing. But time does not measure your worth. It does not ask for speed. It only asks for your trust. Because everything you do holds meaning when done with presence. Peeling fruit, writing a letter, listening to a friend. These are not small, these are sacred. The river of time notices. It carries those moments forward, even if you forget them. They become part of your rhythm, part of who you are. Even your sleep is part of this trust. Each night as you close your eyes, you let go. You surrender to the dark, to the dreams, to the unseen. You do not know where your mind will go. You only know that morning will come, that light will return. This too is time's gift. Renewal. And in dreams, time bends. A moment can stretch into what feels like an hour. A memory can return dressed in new colours. A stranger can feel familiar. The river of dreams is not bound by clocks. It moves by feeling, by imagination. And yet even there, the current is gentle, always flowing, always carrying you back home. You may wonder, where does this river lead? And the answer is simple. It leads here. It leads to now, it always does. There is no future to reach. There is only the next moment flowing gently into your hands. You do not need to grasp it. Just feel it. Let it pass through you like water through your fingers. Cool, clear, real. And when you reach for meaning, it helps to remember time holds all things, the beginnings, the endings, and the spaces in between. The moments that feel important and the ones that feel quiet. They're all part of the story. They're all honoured by the river. Even silence is part of it. The silence between two people who understand each other. The silence that follows a question with no answer. The silence of watching the sky change colour at dusk. These are not empty. They are full of presence, full of time. So now breathe with the river. Feel how your body rests in its rhythm. Feel how your heart beats in time with its flow. Feel how your life, your story, your being is part of something wider than words. You are not separate from the stream. You are the stream. You are not watching life go by. Your life moving, one breath at a time, one thought, one kindness, One morning filled with soft light, one evening filled with stars. Time does not ask for more, only that you be here. And when you truly are, you'll see it clearly. There is nothing to catch up to. There is nowhere to be but here. There is nothing you are late for. The river never stops, and neither do you. You simply keep becoming. There are no clocks in the forest, no ticking hands, no glowing screens, no numbers sliding across the hours. And yet, everything knows when it is time. The trees do not rush, and they do not wait. They live in time without measuring it. They know when to wake, when to sleep, when to grow, and when to be still. Without eyes, they read the sky. Without ears, they hear the silence. Without voices, they tell the time. How? Let us begin with light. Each morning before the sun crests the horizon, the trees are already listening. They sense the growing brightness, not with eyes, but with cells that respond to light. In their leaves, tiny molecules called phytochromes act like soft sensors. They measure light, not just its presence, but its quality. They can tell the difference between day and night, between morning and afternoon, between the long gold of summer and the pale silver of winter. To us, these changes are subtle, but to the tree they are as loud as a bell. When days grow longer in spring, these molecules begin to stir. They whisper, "Now is the time." The tree begins to awaken. Sap rises like slow breath. Buds swell like soft dreams. Tiny leaves unfurl, feeling the air for the first time. No alarm rings, no calendar flips, just the gentle cue of light returning, of warmth deepening, of time moving forward through green. Each species has its own rhythm. Some trees leaf out early, ready to catch every drop of sunlight. Others wait, cautious, holding their energy until they are sure the cold has passed. Some bloom even before their leaves arrive, like the cherry tree, whose pale blossoms appear like ghosts against the bare wood. These choices are not goal guesses. They are timing, deeply practiced, deeply encoded. Inside the cells of the tree, genes switch on and off like a quiet clock. There is no sound, only change. A hormone called auxin begins to flow, guiding the direction of growth. Gibberellins wake up the sleeping buds. Abscisic acid tells seeds when to pause and when to begin again. These signals do not follow human time. They follow Earth time, solar time, seasonal time, the time written in the tilt of the planet and the curve of its orbit, and the roots feel time too. Beneath the soil where no light reaches, the roots still know when spring has come. They feel the softening ground, the warming earth, the rush of water. They reach outward with gentle certainty, seeking nutrients, balance, connection. Even in darkness, time flows. The roots carry the story of the season, like a memory passed hand to hand. And what of the summer? In summer, the leaves are open like books. They read the light. They gather energy. Through a quiet miracle called photosynthesis, they turn sunlight into sugar, air into structure, warmth into life. All day they work, slowly, steadily. The tree does not rush, it simply follows the light. As the sun arcs overhead, the leaves adjust. They tilt, they turn, they maximize their catch. Some scientists believe trees can even tell the hour, not with minutes and seconds, but with the color of the light. Morning light is redder, evening light is softer. The tree absorbs these hues, responds to them, shifts with them. It is a timepiece written in chlorophyll and shadow. And time for a tree is not just today. It is held in rings, in shape, in memory. Each year, a new ring forms within the trunk. Light wood in spring, dark wood in summer. Wet years make wider rings, dry years make narrow ones. Insects, droughts, fires, all leave their mark. A tree does not forget. It carries every season inside, not just in memory but in matter. A scientist with a careful blade can read this story. They can slice through time, not to harm but to understand. The rings become paragraphs. The patterns become language. The tree speaks of decades, of storms, of quiet years, of sudden change. It remembers things long after we have forgotten. and the forest remembers together. Trees do not live alone. Beneath the ground, their roots are woven into a wide, unseen web. Through fungi called mycorrhizae, they share signals. They send sugars. They send warnings. If one tree is attacked by insects, it may release chemicals into the air, alerting nearby trees to prepare. Time becomes communication. Some trees in a forest will delay their growth if their neighbours are struggling. Others will die slowly so that younger saplings may reach the light. There is no clock commanding this, only wisdom, only rhythm, only the flow of time as understood by roots and leaves and silence. In autumn, the trees know when to let go. As days shorten, as light changes once again, the phytochromes stir once more. The message is soft but clear. Rest, slow, prepare. The green fades from the leaves as chlorophyll breaks down. Beneath the colour, hidden pigments emerge, gold, orange, red. It is not that the tree becomes something new. It is that the tree reveals what was always there. And then the leaves fall, not all at once, not like a clock striking the hour, but gradually, gently, one by one. The tree lets go of what it no longer needs. It withdraws its energy inward, into the roots, into the trunk, storing what it must for the long sleep ahead. Even the falling is timed. Each stem forms a thin layer, called the abscission layer, that tells the leaf when to release. A final breath, a final moment, and then it drifts downward, caught by the breeze, joining the forest floor. There it will break down, becoming food for new life. Time continues. In winter, the tree does not stop. It pauses. It grows in silence. It thickens slowly. It tightens its bark. It rests, not because it is weak, but because it is wise. Time for a tree is not always about growth. Sometimes it is about stillness, about patience, about preparing for what comes next. The tree does not worry. It trusts the light. It trusts the rhythm. It knows spring will come. And when it does, the cycle begins again. Not in circles, but in spirals. Always returning, but never the same. You may walk by a tree every day and not notice this rhythm. But if you pause, if you stand quietly beside it, if you listen with more than ears, you may feel it. The slow beat, the ancient clock, the deep, quiet knowing. You may realize something even more gentle, that you too are part of this rhythm. You breathe the air the tree releases. You walk in the shade it gives. You rest beneath its branches. And sometimes you are changed by it, without even knowing why. The tree tells time without ticking, and perhaps so can you. Let's wander deeper into the forest now, into the hush beneath the branches, where time does not hurry. There is a stillness among trees that speaks louder than sound. It is not the stillness of doing nothing. It is the stillness of waiting, of knowing, of trusting what has come before and what will come again. Trees, in their quiet way, are storytellers of time, not with words, not with hands or voices, but with form, with rhythm, with presence. Every bend in a branch, every scar on the bark, every root pushing gently through the soil, each one is a sentence in the language of time, and that language is seasonal. For a tree, the year is not divided into numbers. It is divided into feeling, into warmth and cold, into light and dark, into dry and wet. These shifts are subtle, but the tree listens closely. In spring, the world reawakens. Inside the tree, the xylem and phloem, the two great riverways of sap, begin to stir. Water rises from the roots, pulled upwards by the lengthening light. Sugars flow downward from the leaves, feeding buds, guiding growth. The tree drinks and breathes in harmony with the world. You may see the signs on the outside, a burst of green, a shimmer of blossom. But long before you see it, the tree has already begun. Its clocks are hidden, cellular, molecular, but they are steady, true, like the beat of a distant drum. And when summer arrives, the forest deepens, the canopy thickens, light filters down in golden layers. Leaves are busy, but not in a frantic way. They photosynthesize, drawing in carbon dioxide, exhaling oxygen, converting sunlight into sugar. This energy feeds the tree, builds wood, thickens bark, deepens roots. Summer is not just heat and brightness, it is the slow labour of becoming stronger. But even in summer, the tree is measuring time. It feels the shortening of the days. Bit by bit, almost unnoticeable to us, the light begins to wane. The phytochromes in the leaves begin to change their shape, responding to this shift. They know. Even while the air is still warm, the tree is preparing. Then comes autumn, and the forest begins to dream in colour. Why do leaves change? Why such beauty in letting go? It begins when chlorophyll, the green pigment that fuels photosynthesis, begins to break down. Without strong light to support it, the tree reclaims what it can. The nutrients are pulled back into the branches, into the trunk, into the deep roots. What remains behind in the leaf are other pigments, carotenes, xanthophylls, anthocyanins, each with their own gentle hue. Gold, amber, rust, crimson. The tree is not dying, it is remembering. Letting go of what it cannot hold, saving what it needs, preparing to rest. It is a graceful surrender, not because the tree is weak, but because it knows the rhythm. Time is not an enemy. It is a cycle. The tree does not fear the end of the season. It knows the wheel will turn again. And beneath the soil, a hidden world follows the same pattern. The roots do not sleep fully. They listen. They adjust. They pull in what little water they can. They hold nutrients like a memory. The fungal networks beneath the forest floor, the wood wide web, as some call it, remain alive and aware. They pass messages between trees, share sugars and signals, connect the forest in quiet conversation. If one tree is injured, others may help. If one is healthy, it may offer strength to others. These are not random acts. They are timed, deliberate, practiced across centuries. The trees do not live only for themselves. They live in a rhythm that includes everything around them. And then the snow falls. In winter, the tree enters deep stillness. The sap slows, growth pauses, leaves are gone, the air is cold and clean, and the tree simply is. This is not absence. This is presence in another form. The tree waits, listens, trusts. Beneath the snow, beneath the bark, life continues at the quietest hum. Buds, though tight and silent, already carry the shape of spring. Inside each is the map for new leaves, new flowers, new beginnings. Time is being held gently like a secret, and when the light returns, the buds will know. Some trees, like maples, begin to flow with sap before the snow has even melted. The shift in pressure between day and night, the freeze and thaw, starts the movement. The tree is still bare, but inside it has already begun to rise, to return, to reach. This sense of timing is not mechanical. It is intuitive, ancient. The tree has no clock, but it has memory, it has sensing, it has rhythm. And what happens when the rhythm breaks? When frost comes too soon, or heat arrives too early, or rain falls too hard? What then? Trees respond gently but clearly. Some delay their blooming, others drop their leaves too soon. If the stress is great, the tree may bend or twist, its branches curling like soft warning. But it does not panic. It adjusts, it remembers. Trees have stood through centuries of change. Fires, floods, winds, people. Still they grow, still they trust the light. The rhythm may change, but this tree listens. It does not force time, it flows with it. And this patience teaches us something rare, that growth is not always visible, that strength is not always fast, that becoming often happens slowly, quietly, unseen. You do not need to rush. You're allowed to move at your own pace. You're allowed to rest like a tree in winter. You're allowed to change colour. You're allowed to shed what no longer serves you. And in doing so, you're not falling behind. You are listening. You're trusting. You're becoming. Just like the tree. In forests untouched by clocks, time moves with softness. No hour chimes, no alarm rings, only light, only shadow, only the whisper of wind through leaves. And in that whisper time speaks. Now let us settle among the roots. Let us become still like the forest in early morning, when the light begins to bloom but the world has not yet stirred. In that quiet, trees hold something we often miss. They hold time, not as a measurement, but as a way of being. Not everything that tells time must tick. Not everything that changes must rush. The tree has known this truth longer than we have, and it carries it in silence. Silence is not empty in the forest. It is full. It is filled with the presence of what is growing slowly, of what is changing without needing to be seen. It holds a peace that comes from knowing when to wait, when to act, when to be. And in that stillness, trees teach a softer kind of time that is not counted but felt, a time that does not push but carries, a time that moves through you like sap through bark. You may sit beneath a tree for hours, and it will not ask anything of you. It does not speak, but you may begin to hear something, a rustle in the leaves that says, you do not have to hurry, a creak in the branches that says, you're allowed to change. The shade itself may whisper, you belong to time, not to the clock. This is not poetic fantasy. It is a reflection of how time lives inside you too. Your body listens to seasons. You feel the pull of warmth and the draw of stillness. You feel more open in summer, more inward in winter. You wake with light. You settle with dark. And even though the clocks around you may race, your inner rhythm is slower, quieter, more like the trees than you may realize. Your bones remember slow time. Your breath remembers soft time. Your heart beats not to minutes, but to moments. And just like the trees, you carry memories without needing to speak them. Think of the places you've been, the people you've known, the words you've held, the silences you've kept. They do not vanish. They grow inside you like rings in a trunk. You may not remember the exact dates, but you remember how it felt. The laughter, the loss, the waiting, the becoming. That is tree time, the time of experience, of cycles, of return, and because everything in the forest comes back in some way. The leaf that falls in autumn becomes soil. That soil feeds roots. Those roots support new leaves. And so nothing is truly gone. It is transformed. This is the rhythm of the forest. Not straight lines, but spirals, not vanishing, but deepening. You too live in spirals. You revisit memories, not in order, but in feeling. You return to places that once comforted you. You learn something again, differently. You grow through seasons, not just calendar seasons, but emotional ones. And with each return, you are not the same. You have grown like a tree adding another ring. Even your struggles are shaped by time. You may not see it yet, but patience lives inside every moment of waiting. Healing moves through you like spring rising in the roots. Growth often feels like stillness, until one day you look back and realize how far you've come. The tree never forces its branches to grow. It simply allows. Can you allow yourself the same? To grow without rushing, to let go without fear, to trust that your inner clock knows when to begin again. There's a kind of wisdom in trees that cannot be taught in words. It must be felt. You feel it when you lie under their shade and breathe more deeply than you have all day. You feel it when your hand rests on the rough bark and something inside you softens. You feel it when you return to the same tree again and again, and it welcomes you without needing to say so. Some trees have watched over the people for generations. They've seen tears, laughter, goodbyes, and beginnings. They've held the weight of time not as a burden, but as a gift. And they give that gift freely. You do not need to earn it. You do not need to explain yourself to a tree. You just need to be, and that is the soft lesson. Time is not what you manage, it is what you live. Let the days unfold. Let the moments arrive like petals. Let your life be a forest. Not a race. There will be seasons of doing, of creating, building, expanding. There will be seasons of undoing, of quiet, of rest, of return. All of them are time, all of them are part of you, and none of them are wrong. So sit beside the tree, feel your breath rise and fall. Feel the earth below, steady and real. Feel the sky above, always moving. And know this, You are not behind, you are not late, you are not lost. You are here, you are on time, just like the trees. Far beyond our sky, past the clouds, past the stars you know, past even the faintest points of light your eyes can see, there are great islands of stars adrift in space. They are galaxies, they are old, they are many, and some of them are sleeping. We often think of space as something wild and loud. Supernovas exploding, black holes devouring light, suns being born in clouds of flame. But the universe is not always like this. There are places where everything slows down, where stars no longer form, where silence deepens like a vast exhale. These are the sleeping galaxies. They are not dead, they are not broken, they are simply resting. To understand this, we first look at what a galaxy is. A galaxy is a collection of stars, millions, billions, sometimes trillions of them, held together by the gravity, spinning slowly, waltzing across space. Our own home, the Milky Way, is a spiral galaxy. It spins once every 230 million years. That means, since the time of the dinosaurs, our solar system has gone around the galaxy only once. In that time, the stars have continued to shine, the planets to circle, the gas clouds to swirl like gentle tides. Galaxies begin as bright places, filled with gas and dust, the ingredients needed to build stars. Inside these clouds, gravity pulls particles together, slowly, until the pressure grows high enough for nuclear fusion to begin. A star is born, light bursts forth, and the galaxy glows with the energy of its children. But not forever. Over billions of years, galaxies use up their gas. The clouds thin, fewer stars are made. The ones that remain grow older. Some explode in brilliant supernovas, some shrink into cold white dwarfs, some collapse into black holes, and gradually the galaxy dims, not because it is broken, but because it has shifted into a new rhythm, a slower one, a quieter one. Astronomers call these quenched galaxies. Galaxies that once created stars, but now mostly do not. They have entered a phase of cosmic rest. Some of these galaxies are elliptical, round, smooth, featureless. They lack the spiral arms of galaxies like ours. Their stars are old, red, slow-burning. The youngest among them may be several billion years old, and though they no longer make stars, they continue to turn, to move, to be. Their time is not over. It has simply changed. Imagine looking at such a galaxy through a telescope. It appears soft, dim, like a smudge of ancient light. But what you are seeing is the glow of billions of suns still burning quietly across the darkness. The last of their kind, keeping the light alive. These galaxies speak a different language of time, not the time of days and weeks, but the time of epochs and eons. Time measured in light years and lifetimes of stars. Inside their vast reaches, some stars live for hundreds of millions of years. Others burn slower, lasting for billions. Some stars orbit their galactic center in long, slow paths, circles, so wide that they take hundreds of millions of years to complete. In these galaxies, change is glacial. Light moves, gravity hums, but no new stars are born. And still the galaxy holds its place in the great tapestry of the universe. The reason some galaxies sleep while others remain active is still a mystery. Some scientists believe black holes may play a role. At the heart of nearly every galaxy is a supermassive black hole, millions or billions of times more massive than our Sun. When they feed, they release powerful jets of energy, which can heat up the surrounding gas and prevent it from cooling enough to form stars. In this way, the galaxy's own heart may lull it to sleep. Other theories suggest that collisions between galaxies can scatter or strip away the gas. Some galaxies are born in environments that are rich with material. Others grow up in cosmic deserts, where fuel is scarce. Like people, no two galaxies grow the same way. Each has its own history, its own rhythm. But what's most fascinating is this. Sleeping galaxies are not forgotten. We still see their light. Even after billions of years, their starlight travels on. It crosses space like a memory, unchanged. It reaches us slowly, gently, arriving long after its journey began. You could say we are seeing them as they were, not as they are. Looking into space is like looking into a dream that began before humans existed, before Earth cooled, before names, and there is something comforting in that even in stillness there is meaning, that even in sleep there is memory, that light continues even when the source is quieted. Galaxies sleep the way old forests do, still breathing, still present, still filled with a life you cannot see. You might pass a tree in winter and think it is bare, lifeless, but inside it is preparing, it is storing, it is becoming. Perhaps galaxies do the same. Some may never form stars again. Others may awaken. Given new gas, new collisions, a new chance, they may flare with light once more. The cycle may begin again, but whether they wake or not, they remain part of the universe's story. They hold their place in the sky, they offer their light. They remind us that not all time is active, that some of it is still, that rest too is a part of being, and so we float in our own galaxy among billions of others, some awake, some dreaming, all of them moving, all of them part of the same current, the same slow, wide, unfolding river of time. Let's float deeper now into the hush between the stars. Imagine drifting through the quiet arms of a sleeping galaxy. There is no sound, no breeze, no footsteps, no ticking clock, only the gentle shimmer of ancient starlight and the slow spiral of memory across an endless sky. Everything moves, yet everything feels still. This is not emptiness. This is presence in its softest form. The light you see here is not new. It was born long ago from stars that once flared into being, warmed worlds and burned through the night. Some of these stars are still glowing, their light gentle and red. Others have already faded, leaving behind white dwarfs, dense glowing embers slowly cooling in the dark. These quiet stars do not cry out. They do not compete. They shine softly, patiently, as if cradling the history of the galaxy in their warmth. In this place, time does not rush. It unfolds like a dream, slow, circular, endless. And that dream is written in light. Light is the memory of the universe. It carries stories across time and space. It tells us what the galaxy was, how it lived, when it began to rest. Through the light that reaches our telescopes, scientists can read the colour of the stars, the motion of the galaxy, the shapes of its arms or lack thereof. In sleeping galaxies, much of the light comes from old red stars. These are low-mass stars that live long lives. Some will shine for tens or even hundreds of billions of years. They do not burn quickly. They glow with a calm lasting sin or fan. They are the storytellers of the galaxy, whispering, "We are still here." Scientists can also study the light to learn how long ago a galaxy stopped forming stars. By measuring the absence of young blue light, the kind given off by massive hot stars, they can estimate the age of the galaxy's slumber. The older the galaxy's light, the longer it has been at rest. But even in galaxies where starbirth has slowed to a hush, there are movements that continue. Stars orbit the galactic centre. Clouds of gas drift, even if thin. Dark matter, mysterious, invisible and vast, wraps around the galaxy like a cocoon, shaping its structure. Gravity never sleeps. It pulls gently, faithfully, keeping the galaxy whole. And though galaxies are enormous, stretching hundreds of thousands of light years across, they exist in a universe even bigger. They are not alone. They drift in clusters and groups, bound by unseen threads of gravity. Sometimes they pass close to one another, nudging, brushing, even colliding. These encounters are not violent, like crashing cars. The space between stars is so vast that most pass without touching. But the galaxies themselves are changed. Their shapes stretch, their paths bend, their inner rhythms shift, and sometimes, just sometimes, a sleeping galaxy is reawakened. New gas can be drawn in from the interaction, fresh fuel. With it, the fires of starbirth may begin again. Blue stars, hot and bright, may sparkle once more. The galaxy stirs, the dream shifts, a new chapter begins. This awakening is not fast. It can take hundreds of millions of years, but the universe is patient, and galaxies, like forests after a long winter, are capable of blooming again. Not all do. Some remain quiet, content in their stillness, and that too is part of the cosmic rhythm. Everything cannot be born at once. Everything cannot shine at full brightness forever. There must be pauses, silences, interludes, a place for the quiet to gather. You might think of your own life in this way. There are times when you shine brightly, when your energy is strong, when your days are full and fast, and there are times when you feel still, when growth is hidden, when the outside world may not see what's changing within. But those still moments are not empty. They are rest. They are repair. They are renewal in disguise. The universe understands this. Galaxies rest. Stars cool. Even light takes time to arrive. You're not broken when you're quiet. You're not failing when you're resting. You're simply living in the deeper rhythm of time, just like a sleeping galaxy. And even in that sleep, the galaxy remains part of something greater. It may send its light across the cosmos. It may be pulled gently by the gravity of its neighbours. It may hold planets, perhaps even life, orbiting those old calm stars. It may seem still, but it is still part of the unfolding. Sometimes from Earth, scientists observe a strange glow in the darkness, a faint smudge of light that does not behave like a typical galaxy. These fossil galaxies, as they're sometimes called, are thought to be remnants from the early universe, untouched by recent change. They hold clues to how galaxies once grew, how stars once formed. Their silence is filled with knowledge, and so even sleep becomes sacred. The sleeping galaxy teaches us that time has many speeds. It teaches us that slowness is not lessness, that stillness is not emptiness, that silence is not the absence of meaning, but often its deepest expression. You are allowed to follow this rhythm. There is no rule that says you must always be creating, doing, becoming. There is beauty in simply being, in holding your own light quietly, in letting your story unfold gently across your own galaxy of time. So imagine now, looking up at the night sky, you see a tiny point of light, faint, red, barely there, and yet that light left its home before humans were born. It has travelled across billions of years to reach you. It carries the breath of a sleeping galaxy. It is not loud, but it is full, and in receiving it just by looking, you become part of its dream. Now let us finish this drift through the stars, through the gentle dark where galaxies rest. The universe, vast and ancient, holds more than just fire and explosion. It holds calm. It holds the weight of years too wide to count. It holds galaxies that once bloomed with starlight and now glow softly like lanterns in deep snow. And though these galaxies no longer blaze with newborn stars, they are not forgotten. They are not alone. They remain part of the ever-turning sky, a quiet chorus in the symphony of time. There is one called M105 nestled within the Leo constellation. It is round and smooth, shaped like an egg, pale as dusk. It does not swirl with arms like the Milky Way. It does not flash with hot blue stars, but it is steady, ancient, filled with the gentle fire of stars born long ago. When astronomers study galaxies like M105, they are looking into the history of the cosmos. These galaxies carry clues about what happens when the star-making stops. They show us how galaxies grow old, how they change their light, how they soften into a deeper rhythm. It's not that they are gone, it's that they have settled, like a fire that no longer burns high but glows quietly beneath the ash, like a song that has faded to a hum, still resonating in the air. In the same way, you may carry phases of your own life this way, softly, deeply, even after they seem to end. A chapter that once felt loud and bright, a love, a place, a dream, may now feel quiet, but it is not gone. It lives in you still like starlight from a sleeping galaxy. Faint, yes, but glowing. The sky is full of such echoes. Galaxies like NGC 1277, called relic galaxies, have barely changed in 10 billion years. They are frozen in time, holding the shapes and stars they had when the universe was young. Studying them is like finding a letter written in a language from the dawn of the world, an untouched message carried forward by the light. There are others too, some so far away that their light began before Earth even had oceans. Light that has been travelling longer than trees have existed, longer than bones. And when that light reaches us, it brushes across our eyes in silence, as if it had always belonged here. That is the wonder of the universe's time. It does not forget. It holds everything, even the quiet parts. Every sleeping galaxy is a memory made visible, a reminder that something can change and still be, can soften and still shine. Some of these galaxies may never awaken. Their gas is gone, their fire spent, but even so they shape the cosmos. Their gravity pulls on their neighbours. Their stars send light across time. Their silence teaches us that rest is part of existence, not a pause in meaning, but a continuation of it. Galaxies, after all, are not just collections of stars. They are homes, cradles of time, places where suns and planets were born, where worlds may still circle those ancient stars. We may never see those worlds, but we know they exist, and we know they too feel time in their own way. Maybe somewhere in a quiet corner of a sleeping galaxy, there is a planet with oceans that reflect the faded light of old stars. Maybe there is wind there, and mountains, and stillness. Maybe that world carries its own dreams, its own questions, its own slow unfolding of meaning. We cannot hear it, but we can wonder, and wonder is a kind of listening. Here on Earth, we sometimes forget the value of the quiet. We rush, we measure, we fill our time, but the universe tells us time is not just for doing, it is for being, for changing, for resting, and for remembering. You are part of this. You are made from stars. Some of those stars came from galaxies now sleeping. Their dust formed your bones. Their silence shaped your breath. And you too will rest. You too will change. And yet, like them, you will always be. Even when you feel still, you are becoming. Even when your life feels dim, you are glowing. Even when you pause, you are part of the story. So the next time you look into the sky and see a faint, distant point of light, remember that light may have left a sleeping galaxy, a place where stars no longer stir, but where time continues, where silence is honoured, where everything that came before is still held. The galaxy sleeps, but it remembers. It carries its story not in noise, but in light, not in hurry, but in grace. And you're allowed to live this way too. Not always bright, not always fast, but always true, always whole, so rest when you need. Glow gently, dream deeply, and know this. You are seen, you are steady, you're part of the great soft drift of time. In the stillness of your mind there are sparks. They are quiet, they are small. They do not flash like lightning or roar like fire, and yet they hold every word you have ever spoken. Every face you remember, every dream, every heartbeat of your thoughts. This is the electricity of thought. It moves without sound, travelling not through wires, but through the soft folds of your brain. Not with buttons or keyboards, but with pulses and rhythm and shimmering connections. Thought is not a thing, it is a happening, a wave, a moment of light moving across the dark, and it all begins in a cell. The neuron, tiny, fragile, glowing with possibility. You have about 86 billion of them, curled and woven together inside your skull. They look like trees, with branches and roots. Some are short, some stretch long across the brain like bridges made of light. They do not touch. They come close, closer than anything, but always leave a space between. This space is where the spark leaps. It's called the synapse. A gap so small you cannot see it. but it holds the moment where thought begins. When one neuron wants to speak to another, it does not use sound or words. It uses electricity. A pulse runs down the branch called an axon, like wind through a wire. When it reaches the end, it doesn't cross the gap directly. Instead, it releases a chemical, a neurotransmitter, that floats across the synapse and opens a door on the next cell. The signal continues. The thought flows forward. And it happens fast, so fast you never feel the delay. A thought might take a fraction of a second, but inside that blink, millions of neurons are firing. Messages are leaping, shapes are forming, memory is stirring. Every time you remember a name, recognize a song, feel the tug of a question. It is electricity moving through a field of cells. But the brain is not just fast, it is flowing. The rhythm of thought is not always sharp. Sometimes it drifts like mist, soft and slow. When you daydream, the neurons fire in loops. They wander, replay, imagine. This is the default mode network, a part of the brain that lights up when you're doing nothing at all. Scientists once thought it was rest, but now they know it is a different kind of thinking, a dreaming kind, a remembering kind. And it too is made of electricity. You are never not thinking, even in sleep, even in stillness, even when you feel far away. Your brain is busy with gentle waves, soft pulses of pattern and meaning. Some thoughts come as flashes, others as tides. They do not rise alone. They bring feelings, sights, sounds, smells. The brain holds them all and sends them forward on currents of charge. Electricity in the brain is not harsh. It is not dangerous. It is quiet. It is precise. It is the most delicate language your body speaks. You do not control it directly, but you feel its touch. The heat behind your eyes when you remember something beautiful. The rush of clarity when a thought finally clicks into place. The way a memory from years ago returns, vivid and sudden, as if it never left. That is the spark. That is the current. That is thought, moving like a whisper through the dark. Even the simplest feeling, like calm or worry or wonder, is shaped by these tiny surges. Certain areas of your brain fire more when you're in love, others brighten in fear, but always it is electricity, silent, steady, shimmering through the shadows. And it all uses less power than a dim light bulb. Your brain, with all its complexity, runs on about 20 watts, just enough to light a small lamp. And yet within those 20 watts lives every idea you've ever had, every sentence you've spoken, every thought of home, every dream you forgot, and every one you remember. How does it all fit? Not by being large, but by being connected. Each neuron may connect to thousands of others, a vast web of branches and roots forming patterns that shift with every thought. And with each connection, something changes. The bond grows stronger or weaker. It adapts, learns, remembers. This is neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change itself. Not just in childhood, but always. When you learn something new, your brain rewires. When you heal from sadness, when you practice patience, when you feel empathy, your brain changes its shape, its spark, its song. The path of electricity adjusts. The thought flows differently. And slowly, without you noticing, you become new. But even in newness, there is continuity. Your memories, your habits, your feelings, they are not stored in one place. They are spread across the web, written in patterns of pulses and pauses. Some are vivid, others are soft, some are triggered by a scent, a voice, a word. They rise, not in order, but in waves. And each one begins with a spark, a single, sapient flicker. In times of stillness, when you sit with your eyes closed or listen to music or lie beneath the stars, your brain still glows. The sparks become slow, rhythmic. Brain waves roll gently, alpha waves, theta waves. Soft signs that your mind is resting, opening, dreaming. Even in meditation, the spark remains, not to think, but to feel, not to race, but to float. And in dreams, the current flows strange and wide. Images form, voices return, places shift. It It is not random, it is the brain exploring itself, writing and rewriting its own story in electric ink. And when you wake, that story fades, but the spark remains, ready to begin again, to wonder, to imagine, to feel. This electricity is not separate from you, it is you. It is how you know your name, how you remember your childhood room, and how you understand the meaning of the moon. And so the next time you pause and notice a thought, a memory, and a feeling, a dream, remember that it is not just an idea, it is light, it is energy, it is a ripple in your mind travelling with quiet grace. Let's drift deeper into the quiet. Inside your skull, the brain hums, not with sound, but with motion. It does not roar, it does not shout, but it sings, a soft, continuous song made not of words, but of waves, not of music, but of pulses. Each spark, each flicker of electricity between cells joins a pattern, and that pattern becomes thought, and that thought becomes you. In this way, the brain is like an orchestra. Each neuron is an instrument. Some play fast and high like a violin in a moment of surprise, some slow and low like a cello in rest, but altogether they form a living piece of music, shifting, growing, responding. When you are focused, certain rhythms rise. Beta waves ripple across your brain, sharp and quick like footsteps on a bright morning. When you rest, alpha waves move more gently like leaves drifting across water. When you sleep, theta and delta waves move slowly, deeply like the tide pulling softly from the shore. Your thoughts are not static, they breathe. They follow rhythm and they create it. And every thought, no matter how small, begins the same way, with a tiny surge of ions. Each neuron sits in a delicate balance. On one side of its cell wall there are more positive particles, on the other side more negative. This separation builds potential, like a raindrop ready to fall. And when the time is right, the gate opens, positive ions rush in, the charge reverses, a wave begins. This wave, this action potential, moves down the neuron's axon, carrying the signal forward. Not in sound, but in rhythm. Not in chaos, but in precision. And as it reaches the synapse, it becomes something else. Chemistry. Tiny vesicles filled with neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, glutamate, release their contents into the synaptic gap. These molecules cross the space and bind to receptors on the next neuron. A new signal begins, the current continues, but not every signal says go. Some say wait, some say slow down, some say feel. This is the subtle balance of excitation and inhibition. Your brain does not only spark, it chooses, it filters, it shapes. In this balance lies your emotions, your attention, your sense of self. And like all delicate systems, it can shift. Too much excitation, and the brain becomes overwhelmed. Racing thoughts, restlessness, overstimulation. Too much inhibition, and things slow too much. Fatigue, fog, stillness without peace. But when the balance is just right, the mind feels steady, clear, curious, and this balance changes through the day. When you wake, cortisol gently rises, nudging your neurons into action. Your alertness grows, focus sharpens. As the sun climbs, your brain moves with it. Light enters your eyes and resets your internal clock. Neurons in your hypothalamus send signals across your brain. Now is the time to think, to act, to move. Later, as the light fades, melatonin flows. The spark does not vanish, but it slows. Your thoughts become softer, rounder. You may begin to reflect, to wonder, to dream. This too is thought, a different kind, still electric and still alive, and even your body listens to these shifts. Your gut, often called your second brain, contains its own network of neurons. It talks to your brain through nerves and chemicals. When you feel anxious, your stomach tightens. When you feel calm, digestion flows. The brain and the body are never separate. They are linked by signal, by spark, by time. Even your heart responds to the rhythm of thought. When you think of something tender or frightening or joyful, your heartbeat may quicken or slow. This is not illusion. Your brain sends messages through the autonomic nervous system, guiding the rhythm of your organs. Every sigh, every flutter, every breath is part of the dance. And though we often think of thinking as something we do alone, in silence, in solitude, your thoughts are shaped by others. When you talk, listen, connect, your neurons mirror those of the person you're with. This is empathy, felt not just in emotion, but in electricity. Your brain fires in similar patterns when you see someone in pain or joy or fear. You feel with them, not just for them. The electricity of thought is not isolated, it is shared, and it continues when you sleep. In sleep, your brain sorts the day's memories. It strengthens the useful, softens the painful, weaves the scattered into story. Neurons fire in slow waves. The hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped part of the brain, replays experiences. Dreams drift across the cortex like candlelight in a dark room, all of it made of spark, all of it shaped by rhythm, all of it real. And though we cannot see this electricity directly, we can measure it. Electroencephalograms, EEGs, place gentle sensors on the scalp to record brainwaves. Scientists read these signals like soft graphs of thought. Sleep researchers use them to watch the brain move through cycles of rest. Doctors use them to find patterns in epilepsy. Artists have used them to turn thought into music, into colour, into form. Because thought is not invisible. It is presence, it is pulse, it is possibility. Even in deep silence, the brain speaks. It may recall a scent from childhood. It may replay a phrase someone once whispered. It may imagine a place you've never been, or form a question you've never thought before. And when it does, it is not just thinking, it is creating. This is the quiet miracle, that a soft spark, smaller than a grain of sand, can hold an idea that changes your life. That something you cannot touch can become a poem, a song, a choice. That electricity, silent and fleeting, becomes love, becomes sorrow, becomes memory, and becomes you. Now come even closer, not in seeing, but in awareness. Let us sit at the quiet centre of your mind, the place where thoughts begin before they have names, before they become sentences or plans or memories. It is here that electricity becomes something more than spark. It becomes self. Your thoughts are not just flashes between cells. They are the waves that shape who you are. And that identity, your sense of I, rises not from one place, but from a conversation across many regions of the brain. It is not a single voice, it is a harmony. It is awareness held gently by electricity, passed from neuron to neuron, rising like a tide and fading like a breeze. Even your sense of time, of the past and future, is made this way. There is no clock in the brain, no single part that tells you what hour it is. Instead, your mind weaves time from pattern. It uses the hippocampus to place memories in order. It uses the prefrontal cortex to imagine what comes next. And it uses the rhythm of your heartbeat, your breath, your environment to feel the passage of now. This ability to hold past, present, and future at once is one of the brain's most beautiful gifts. It lets you remember what hurt and heal from it. It lets you imagine what could be and begin toward it. It lets you feel that where you are is enough. And all of it, every flicker of remembrance, every shimmer of hope, is made with electricity. The same kind of signal that fires in a mouse's brain or a bird's or a whale's. You are part of a long lineage of thinking beings. Not just humans, but all creatures who feel, who respond, who wonder in their own ways. And yet your thoughts are unique. They form words and they form language. They create symbols and systems and songs. When you think a word, say ocean, your brain lights up in many places. Not just the place that stores vocabulary, but also the regions that hold sound, memory, imagery. You may hear the waves, smell the salt, feel the sand, taste a moment from childhood. That is what thought can do. It opens doors that were not there a moment ago. It lets you walk into rooms made of memory, of story, of imagination. And thought is never still. It loops. It returns. Sometimes a thought circles back again and again, a worry, a desire, a memory you cannot place. This is not weakness. It is electricity tracing a path it knows well. Over time, well-travelled paths become easier to find. The more you think something, the more likely you are to think it again. This is why kindness matters. To yourself, to your thoughts, because the sparks that carry self-criticism follow the same physics as those that carry compassion. They are equal in energy, but not in what they build. One dims, the other heals, and you can choose which to repeat. You can begin new paths, new thoughts, new currents. When you try something new, whether it's a skill, a perspective, or a way of seeing yourself, your brain changes. It builds new connections, forms new patterns. The spark flows in directions it has never gone before, and slowly your thoughts change, and slowly so do you. Not because the electricity is different, but because the pattern is. Neurons that fire together, wire together. That is one of the brain's most sacred rules. And that means every new thought, every gentle, intentional thought, has power. Not to erase what was, but to layer it with what can be. You are not bound by your oldest thoughts. You are shaped by your newest ones too. Even in trauma, in memory, in pain, the brain holds room for change. There are therapies that use electricity directly, transcranial stimulation, deep brain stimulation, to help guide the mind out of stuckness. And there are therapies that use words, gentle conversation, safe silence, soft noticing to do the same. In both cases, it is the spark that moves, the signal that shifts, the light that finds a new way forward. You are not broken when you feel lost. You are electrical, and electricity can reroute. Even joy is a kind of current. When you laugh, when you feel seen, when something finally makes sense, your brain lights up with dopamine. It's not just pleasure, it's reward, recognition. It's the brain saying, yes, more of this. These moments become part of your rhythm, they light new paths, they echo, and so thought is not only what you think, it is what you carry and what you create. A memory from years ago can still shape your choices today. A story you tell yourself can become a truth you live. An image, an idea, a feeling, they are not fleeting. They form a map, but the map can always be redrawn. Your brain never stops changing. Even now it changes as you read this. New sparks, new connections, new awareness. You're becoming, just like galaxies sleep and awaken, just like rivers shift their beds, just like trees add rings, your thoughts evolve. They branch, they soften, they surprise you. And all of it is built from the same soft fire, the quiet, glowing electricity of the mind. It does not need wires, it does not need machines, it needs rest, it needs wonder, it needs the space to think new thoughts. And so tonight or tomorrow, when your thoughts rise, whether they are joyful, uncertain, quiet or wild, pause and listen to the light that thinks you into being. It is not loud, it's not perfect, but it is yours. Inside you, far beneath the surface of skin and thought, time flows in a different way. It does not tick, it does not hum, it pulses in silence, it moves in shape and pattern. It whispers not with sound, but with structure. Because every cell in your body keeps time, not with gears or numbers or sunlit clocks, but with rhythm, with sequence, with motion so small and precise, it is almost invisible. Yet this motion gives life its beat. At the center of this rhythm is something soft and invisible, a second. A second in the life of a cell is not like a second in the world above. It is dense, full, a moment rich with change. In just 1 second, countless molecules move, signals fire, proteins fold, messengers carry instructions across the tiny landscapes of your cells. In that instant, life is happening not all at once, but in a pattern so precise it feels like choreography. Your body is made of trillions of cells, and in each one, time is held and measured by the dance of molecules. There is no conductor, no central voice, yet all the cells work in harmony, as if listening to a music they've always known. This music is written in DNA. Your DNA, the long spiral code curled in every nucleus, is more than a blueprint. It is a schedule. Certain genes turn on at certain times. Others stay silent, waiting. They do not all act at once. They follow cycles, some in minutes, others in hours, some in days, some never again. And each activation, each quiet unfolding takes place in its own second, just one heartbeat in the life of a cell. There are even molecular clocks within the DNA. Genes like clock and BMAL1, PR and cry. They switch on and off in waves that align with your circadian rhythm. They help your body know when to rest, when to rise, when to heal, when to think. Even if you lived in darkness, these genes would still follow their ancient rhythm. Because time lives inside you, not just outside. A single second can be the space in which a protein is built. Proteins are the builders of your body. They are made from amino acids, stitched together like beads on a string. The instructions come from RNA, which is copied from DNA. The ribosome reads this message, one word at a time, 3 letters at a time, and assembles the protein. This process is so fast, so precise, that in a single second, many proteins may begin to form. They twist and fold into shapes that will become your muscles, your enzymes, your hormones, your thoughts. Every second, your cells produce hundreds of thousands of these proteins. Not randomly, not recklessly, but perfectly timed. And not only are they built, they are moved. Inside the cell, there are tiny motor proteins that walk along tracks, carrying packages to where they are needed. These walkers, called kinesins and dyneins, move like creatures, step by step, using energy, delivering materials. They carry organelles, fuel messages. Their journey takes place over a few microns, but in a cell this is vast. It is like a person crossing a city, and they do it in seconds. These seconds are not passive, they are busy, but not frantic. They are filled with purpose and with flow. In a single second, calcium may flood into a neuron. The cell will read this as a signal, a trigger, a shift, perhaps to release a chemical, perhaps to begin a change, perhaps to remember something, because memory too begins with a single second in a cell. When you form a new memory, when something surprises you or moves you or teaches you, your brain strengthens a connection. The synapse grows more responsive. The pattern becomes easier to repeat. That change begins with a second, with a signal, with molecules that shift, with genes that activate, with proteins that build new bridges between neurons. Even learning has a rhythm. Timing is everything. A signal too early or too late may fade. But in the right second, a new pathway begins. And once formed, it can last a lifetime. And what about your immune system? Every second, cells patrol your body, watching for harm. They recognize intruders not by face, but by shape, by patterns in proteins. And when they sense danger, they respond instantly. Signals are sent, cells divide, antibodies form, the rhythm of defense begins. All in seconds, all within the quiet, all within you. But just as important as action is pause. Cells do not fire endlessly. They wait, they rest, they prepare. Cell cycles follow rhythms: G1S, G2M, growth, DNA replication, preparation, division. Each phase has its own timing. Too fast and errors appear, too slow and function fails. But in balance, in harmony, life continues. Even the mitochondria, the power plants of your cells, follow a beat. They convert food to energy in a process called respiration. It happens not once, but thousands of times every second. And in that moment, you gain what you need to think, to move, to be. Each second in a cell is filled with countless choices. Signals are received, some are passed on, some are ignored, some are remembered for the future. And somehow this happens in every cell, at once, together, like a field of fireflies lighting up in a pattern known only to them. You may not feel it, but this is where you live. Not only in your thoughts, but in your cells, in their seconds, in their silent clockwork. Time inside you is not separate from life. It is life. So when you pause, when you breathe, when you feel still, know that within you, something is always moving, always aligning, always becoming. Let's wander deeper beneath the microscope's gaze into the hush where molecules meet. Here, in the gentle tide of cytoplasm, life does not rush. It moves in patterns, not with noise, but with balance, not with urgency, but with grace. Each second inside a cell is not simply time passing, it is time performing. A single heartbeat may pass unnoticed in your day, but in that same heartbeat, billions of cells inside you have completed delicate tasks with exacting care. It is not chaos, it is choreography. It is movement designed by millions of years of quiet learning. There is no clock inside a cell, no hands, no alarm. And yet it knows when to begin, when to wait, when to end. At the center of many of these decisions is the nucleus, a soft, glowing center wrapped in a porous shell. It holds your genetic code, your instruction book, your story. But the story is not read all at once. Only certain genes are opened. Others remain folded, tucked away, silent for now. This selective reading is called gene expression, and it is deeply tied to time. Some genes are active only at dawn, some only in darkness, some respond to light, others to food, to stress, to rest, to warmth, to love. There are clock genes in nearly every cell, genes that oscillate, turning on and off with a rhythm close to 24 hours. They influence the production of hormones, the repair of tissues, the timing of metabolism. This is how your body knows when to rise, when to sleep, when to digest, when to heal. Even without light, even in total isolation, these cellular rhythms continue for a time. They are written deep within, a memory of the sun. But timing is not only about hours. It's about order. Think of a cell dividing, a moment when one becomes two.